So let's hear about some of your businesses or some of the questions. Can we take some questions? Yes, please.
I know a lot of colleges and community colleges, they teach QuickBooks. Do you think we should take QuickBooks classes?
You know, I think it's a great question. I think that I always like to start with what's free. And it's free to just go to QuickBooks, Google, get a free video on YouTube. We were researching for today, just on YouTube.com, there are numerous presentations like this one.
There's also demos on their website.
And free. They're free. So I would do a lot of that first. And then I'd ask myself, well, what were my real questions? Are my questions like, what does the thing look like? Then maybe get a book at the store and see what does it look like online. And I'm of the opinion that the class may in the end not be interesting or beneficial, but at least treat yourself to the free resources online to look at that before you make that decision. Other questions? So, yes?
Just to let her and everybody else know, the New York Business Solutions Center has a 5-session QuickBooks class.
That's terrific.
So you can always
That's
go
right.
to
It's
New York
great,
Business
and then you
Solutions
really play with it. You really learn it by playing with it, and it's very user-friendly.
Oh, and by the way, we didn't talk about that. You can, what the first thing it tells you to do is set up a company. You could set up 10 companies. Right, so just play with it. You know, set up one, say, gee, I'm going to call it this, and just see how that goes. That's okay. And the same goes for business planning software. Yes, sir?
Yeah, I downloaded was it like a free one, the QuickBooks one? I'm pretty sure that I put all the numbers in the wrong places. After I take the classes or let's say I buy the book, is it easier to put the numbers where they're supposed to be?
You know, it's a great question. I'm going to answer you as a business person. I'll let the bookkeeper answer. But you know, I still put all the numbers in the wrong place. So what I try to always remind myself is, I'm not doing more. If I have to run a business, I need to not do more than write a check. But when I write that check, then I should try to be accurate. Who am I paying? Which invoice am I paying? What day am I paying it? Even if I can't pay that day, am I entering it and planning to pay it? Those are, just focus on, my only advice to you as an entrepreneur, focus on the check. If you do that and the invoice, if you do that, I think you're ahead of the game. But so is there
But QuickBooks is definitely easy to make changes to. You can make corrections to. It's very easy to use. And I also want to quickly mention also, if you talk to your accountants or whoever does your tax return, most of them, almost all of them will recommend that you use QuickBooks, and they have what's called an accountant's copy in there. So you can give the QuickBooks copy to your accountant. It tracks that it's out and the accountant has it, and it will still let you do checks, it will still let you put in deposits, but there's certain things it won't let you change while the accountant copy is out. The accountant can make his changes and you put his copy back in.
That's a good point. Changes are good in bookkeeping. That's a very important point. You know, I have a controller, Adrian. She's a CPA. Under her are bookkeepers in a lot of our different companies, including my mom, who is still a challenge to this day because she remembers the QuickBooks days. But our accountant always makes changes. Adrian gives him those things we talked about: the PL, the general ledger, and the balance sheet, and he still makes adjustments. So you got to be kind of open to change. But remember, you can always look at your history, which goes right back to that check. Other questions? Yes?
I got QuickBooks, and I found when I opened it up and started using it that I really got stumped by some of the terminology, and because I run a hair salon, and we don't issue clients invoices or things like that, and so that was really
Great question.
throwing me.
Happens to us. In some of our businesses, we're the same way. So that's a great
At the
question.
very beginning, there's what's called an interview, and it'll ask you, do you invoice your customers? And when you say no, the invoice disappears, and you can just put in, every day you can put in your deposits. It's up to you. Do you want to track do you track your coloring versus your hair cutting separate? You would define that in the chart of accounts, and each day you put your money in the bank, you record the deposit how you want to track it. And it just
Always go back to the beginning and
deposits,
don't be
that's it.
pressured to do anything. You know, we have an issue all the time. I mean, I see these invoices, all this paper, it's overwhelming. If you don't need it, don't do it. accountant may want it, and that becomes a different type of argument or dialogue. But what's nice is just go back, keep it simple. Keep it simple. Do nothing more than a checkbook, folks, and you're already ahead of the game. Keep it simple. More questions?
Very flexible, it's very customizable, or you just ignore the options you don't need.
Yes.
When I do finally get to buy like a QuickBook, what's gonna be like when I already, like I said, I already have like the free version one. What's gonna be the changes? Is it just gonna like just transfer over?
Oh, that's a
You
good question.
can always upgrade. When you install it, it'll ask you if you have a different version. Actually, I think if you buy it online, it'll give you the option, are you upgrading or buying a new version? And then
What kind of business do you have?
I'm thinking this.
Cleaning, that's great. Yeah, that's terrific. So you buy supplies, you provide the service, and you pay people to help you with
Actually,
labor.
well, I just started in March, so it's just the only person that I'm paying is just myself right now.
Good.
So right now I'm not like really giving out invoices or like.
the first thing you start at is this company interview, and then it'll ask you the questions and it'll set you up.
Oh, okay.
What business do you have?
Security.
Oh, good. That's terrific. That's so there's labor. There's the menu. You'll add to it. You know, security is fairly cut and dry. We have security in our companies, and so that's a good example of a business where I think QuickBooks is perfectly appropriate.
Yeah.
And you might want to use the invoice
Yeah.
feature to invoice your client. Your clients will appreciate that,
And if
particularly if they can break it down.
And you use the payroll feature, you can actually put
that's-
the hours in.
Right.
QuickBooks will bill the client for the hours worked, and
That's
it will
huge.
process the payroll. Now, there's many options in the levels of payroll it can do, but it's one entry and it will do both sides. It will bill the
And that saves
client
you a fortune.
and track the hours on the payroll end.
Or back in the early days of my companies, we had to pay different people just to work on payroll. Now it's a click. Just put it in. It figures out how to pay the payroll. What's FICA in your state and all these
You
various
pay for
things.
that subscription, I mean, there's different levels for the
But
payroll.
in security,
you
that's
do that.
important.
Okay, so when you start out in this insecurity startup, what you would recommend? A free software or I go for the 100?
No, I would probably go, there's a QuickBooks Pro, which is
I
limited.
agree.
Premier gives you more options, and Premier you would buy the service-related business. It'll ask you your industry, you'll tell them you're in the service business. And then again, you'll pop up with the interview and you'll answer the questions. Do you use job costing? Do you track hours to clients? And it'll ask
And
you.
it'll say, who's your payroll company, or do you want us to do the payroll? And I would recommend that, because a security company or a waiter company, those companies get into trouble if they don't manage the payroll, the expenses associated with payroll. By the way, payroll's a personal liability on you. The government will fine you. So you don't want to get behind your payroll tax.
And QuickBooks could also function like an ADP or a
That's right.
Paychex
It'll
account.
pay 'em.
You're putting it into your own system, and for a fee, it goes right from them. They will take it out, they will process your tax returns, they will make your tax deposits for you, and they will take the liability.
Even that sounds like a lot of words, just to be clear.
It's
They're
the
gonna give
same
you the
fee.
check, you're giving your employee. The registry on the check will say the FICA and these things that are deducted, just like checks that you guys have gotten when you've worked at places. And it's gonna give you another check of what to put into the bank as your payroll tax obligation. It does it all for you, you're done.
Or
And
they'll
from your
do
own
it for
computer,
you.
you're done.
If
Or
you
they'll
sign up for
swipe
their
it
tax
for you.
payment services, they take the personal liability away from you. They will take the money out of the account, as long as it's money, the money's there, they'll take it out of the account. They'll do it, same as ADP, you still need to tell ADP who to pay
Right.
what.
ADP is just is one of these payroll organization services, and they're out there. There are many of them. Other questions?